Hey everyone, this is Ryan with Select Characters, and I'm sorry for the video today because we don't have any footage, and that's because I have a cat named Stanley who likes to chew through laptop cords and phone transfer cables, which I was going to record on today because I've been playing a lot of Madden Mobile 16. And that leads me into my topic, which is about sports games. So when I was in 6th grade, my parents bought me my first console, and it was a PlayStation 2. One of the games I got with it was Madden 2004, and I ended up playing it nonstop because I was on my elementary school's football team. I wanted to put myself in the place of those players, and that's just what I did, and I played constantly. I made custom characters of myself based on what position I wanted to play, and I'd give my player the best stats so he couldn't be stopped because I know it's a little bit cheating, but I was in 6th grade. Give me a break. I absolutely wanted to be an NFL player. Madden 04 had to be one of my most played games ever, and I stopped playing football after that year and ended up swimming and playing water polo the rest of my sports years, but football always had a little place in my heart. So my love for playing Madden never really fell away. From time to time, I'd go back and I'd pick up Madden 04, pop it in, and I'd play a few games. And to this day, my most recent football game that I've played is Madden 04, and it was only a few months ago against one of my friends who uses the Vikings, and he throws to Randy Moss every play, which I'm convinced is cheating because Randy Moss is unstoppable in that game. He's the most unstoppable player except for Michael Vick, I think. So there's a common line in video games that when you buy a sports game, you're just paying for the same game over and over with a new roster. It got me thinking, why do I keep coming back to Madden 04? Well, obviously there's a large nostalgia factor there for me, but there's also something more, and I think it applies to pretty much every sports game. Players aren't there for the video game. They're there for the sport. Sports are interesting because it's essentially the same game from year to year, but they keep getting played. Football today looks very similar to football 30 years ago, and it's not exactly the same. There's been a lot of rule changes, but they're still very similar games. Where other game genres have to change up their formula on a year-to-year basis, sports games don't. That's because sports themselves have enough variables within them that the sports don't really have to change. Sports games don't get old in the same way that sports don't get old. If I pop in the latest Madden, I know that I'll fundamentally have the same challenges as I do in Madden 04, and I don't really want that to change. Football is about planning and execution. It's a formula that doesn't need to be changed, and that goes for pretty much every sport. The interest comes from having to create a plan within a certain set of parameters against the other team who is within that same set of parameters. Who cares if the game is similar every year? It's exciting and interesting to play because the sport is complex enough that the video game doesn't have to pick up any of the slack. The things surrounding the sport within the video game are what I really want to be paying attention to. I don't follow sports games very closely simply because I'm a PC guy, and a lot of my favorite sports games are on console, or they're not on PC anymore. But I do know that whenever a sports game is highlighting their features, it's more often than not about their franchise mode or their rosters or their graphics or their online experience. That's the real game that they're making. The things that surround the sport become more interesting and in turn make the sport more interesting because it has been crafted in a world that you now have influence over. One more thing before I go is that I think that a roster update is a fine reason to pick up the next installment of a sports game. Okay, for example, the 2014 Redskins were much worse than the 2015 Redskins, and their rosters had very different players. So when I play, I want that new roster because it matters. Even one position with an upgraded or downgraded player can change the dynamic of that offense or defense. So I think the next chance that I can get it either through a new console or a return to PC, I'll grab the next Madden without a doubt, and I'll buy the ones after that too, because football at its core is an interesting sport to me, and simply planning against the other side of the ball, be it offense or defense, is exciting and intriguing. It doesn't matter if the game is similar every year. I like that. What's important to me is the elements around the ball. Make my experience as close as it can be to a general manager or a head coach. As long as that keeps happening, I think sports games aren't as stagnant as they seem. This has been Ryan with Select Characters. Thanks for watching.